waltz by Toru Takemitsu under direction of Anna Maria Helsing, leading the Royal Stockholm Philharmonic Orchestra. And now, presentation of the Nobel Prize in Physics.
Eders Majestäter, Eders Kungliga Högheter,
Professor Olga Bottner,
ärade Nobelpristagare, mina damer och herrar.
ladies and gentlemen.
Årets Nobelpris I
This year's
fysik
Nobel
handlar om
Prize in Physics is all about
universums
neutrinos,
kanske märkligaste partiklar.
perhaps the most puzzling particles in the
Spöken tränger de genom de
universe. Like
tjockaste
ghosts, they
väggar.
pass through the thickest
Ja, till och med
walls.
rakt genom
Indeed,
hela
they
jordklotet.
penetrate straight through the entire
De
globe.
väger nästan
They have no
ingenting
electric
alls.
charge,
Och vi trodde
race at
faktiskt
almost
länge
the
att
speed
de
of
var
light, and
masslösa.
weigh almost nothing
De
at
har
all.
ingen elektrisk
For a long
laddning
time,
och far fram nästan lika
we
snabbt som
actually
ljuset.
thought they were massless.
Att studera neutriner
Studying
är
neutrinos
verkligen
is a real
utmaning.
challenge.
Årets
This year's
Nobelpristagare,
laureates, Takaaki Kajita
och Arthur
and
McDonald
Arthur B. McDonald,
ledde
led
två stora
two large
forskargrupper
research groups
som
which
upptäckte
discovered that
att
these
dessa
remarkable
märkliga
particles are even more
partiklar är
puzzling
ännu
than we
märkligare än vad vi
imagined.
länge vetat. De beter sig som
They behave like
kameleonter.
chameleons.
Under sin
While
framfart
traveling through
växlar
space,
de
they are
hela
continuously
tiden
switching
mellan olika
between different
identiteter.
identities.
Neutriner finns
Neutrinos are
överallt.
everywhere.
De bildas
They are constantly
ständigt. I
created.
solens
Inside
inre,
the sun,
i
when the cosmic
atmosfären,
rain from
genom
space
sönderfall av
collides with the
atomkärnor i
atmosphere,
jordskorpan,
through the decay
till och
of
med i
atomic
våra
nuclei in the Earth's
Varje
crust,
sekund
and
passerar
even in our
många
muscle.
miljarder neutriner
Every
genom våra
second,
kroppar.
billions of neutrinos pass through our bodies unseen and unnnoticed. These elusive
Dessa
particles
lekande
rarely
partiklar
interact and
växer
are
verkar
almost
sällan och
impossible
är
to
nästan
capture.
omöjliga att fånga.
Yet
Deras
their
spöklika
ghost-like
natur
nature seems
ter sig
very
dock
useful.
väldigt användbar.
While the light generated
Medan
in the
solljuset
center of
som
the
alstras i
sun
solens
never
centrum
reaches
alltså
the
inom
Earth,
jorden, passerar
neutrino radiation from the
neutrinostrålningen
fusion
från
processes in the
fusionsprocesserna i
solar
solens
core
inre ut
passes
obehindrat.
straight out.
Inmätning antalet
Measuring the
neutriner
number of
från
neutrinos from
solen
the sun
är
therefore
därför ett
provides
sätt
a
att
means
mäta
of measuring the
temperaturen
temperature
från sin
in its
värld.
core. The
Det
first
första
experiment
experimentet som
aimed
syftade
at
till att registrera
recording solar
solneutrino
neutrino radiation
startade för 50
was
år sedan
initiated 50
och
years
följdes
ago
av
and was
många
followed
fler.
by many more.
Snart visade det sig
It
dock,
soon
till allas
turned out,
förvåning,
to everyone's
att det
surprise,
saknades upp
that
till
up to 2/3 of the
2/3
expected number of
av det antal
neutrinos was
neutriner
missing.
man förväntade sig.
The neutrinos seemed to be
Neutrinerna
disappearing
verkar
along the way.
försvinna undervägs. I en teori bland
One
många
theory,
som försökte
among many
förklara detta
attempts to
märkliga
explain this
fenomen,
remarkable phenomenon,
var att neutrinon
was that
under
during
sin
its
färd
journey, a
kunde byta
neutrino
ut
could change its identity and be
förvandlas till
transformed into
annan
another type of
neutrinotyp
neutrino that
som
was
inte
not
syntes i
visible in the
detektorn.
detector.
Det finns nämligen
This is
tre
because
typer
there are
av
3
neutriner,
types of
där
neutrinos,
solen
of
endast
which the
alstrar
sun
en.
only produces
Och
one,
experimenten
and the
var
experiments were
anpassade
designed to
för att
detect
upptäcka
only
endast
this one type.
Men kan en partikel
But can a
verkligen
particle
byta
actually
identitet?
change identity? This mystery was solved with the help of 2 enormous underground detectors.
Underjordiska detektorer.
The Super Kamiokande detector was located in a zinc mine in Japan, 1,000 meters below the Earth's surface, and contained 50,000 tons of water, more than enough to fill all the bathtubs in Stockholm. This detector recorded the neutrinos created when cosmic radiation collides with the Earth's atmosphere. To their great surprise, scientists discovered that many fewer neutrinos reached the detector from below, that is, from the other side of the globe, than from the atmosphere above. The neutrino types that are created in the atmosphere also seem to be disappearing along the way.
Tidigare detektorer kunde Sudbury Neutrino Observatory i Canada.
Neutrinos pass unimpeded through the Earth, so Kajita-san and his team realized that the great distance between the production point on the other side of the Earth and the detector gave the neutrinos extra time to change identity. This finding was presented around the turn of the millennium. Around the same time, on the other side of the Earth, a huge detector was built for observation of the neutrinos that are produced in the solar core. Unlike early detectors, the Sudbury Neutrino Observatory in Canada, 2 kilometers below the Earth's surface, could effectively record all 3 types of neutrinos. McDonald and his research team were then able to show that the total number of neutrinos from the Sun reaching the Earth corresponded closely with expectations, but that the type of neutrinos produced in the solar core was too few.
Och har långtgående konsekvenser även för kosmologin. Professor Kajita, Professor McDonald.
Professor McDonald, Professor Kajita.
You have been awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics for the discovery of neutrino oscillation, which shows that neutrinos have mass. On behalf of the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences, it is my honor and great pleasure to convey to you the warmest congratulations. I now ask you to step forward to receive your Nobel Prizes from the hands of His Majesty, the King.
Professor Takaaki Kajita from Japan, affiliated with the University of Tokyo. Receives the diploma and the gold medal from His Majesty the King of Sweden. He is accompanied by his wife Michiko Kajita, a daughter, other family members, friends and colleagues. His party also includes the laureate's younger sister and brother. Professor Arthur MacDonald from Canada, affiliated with Queen's University in Canada. The audience is his wife, Janet MacDonald, 2 sons and a daughter, and other family members and colleagues. Also the Principal and Vice-Chancellor of Queen's University, Professor Daniel Wolf. Now it's time for the presentation of the 2015 Nobel Prize in Chemistry. And the speech is held by Professor Claes Gustafsson.
Eders Majestäter, Eders Kungliga Högheter, ärade pristagare, mina damer och herrar.
A fertilized egg cell contains all the information needed to create a human being, and this information is stored in our genetic material, our DNA. The discovery of DNA is ascribed to Friedrich Mischer, who isolated a new substance in 1869 from white blood cells. He performed his work in the kitchen of a castle in Tübingen using dirty bandages that he collected daily from a local hospital as his raw material. And Mischer isolated nuclein, which we call DNA today. 60 years later, Phoebus Levine demonstrated that DNA consisted of nucleotides with 4 different bases, and in the 30s 2 Swedish scientists, Torbjörn Kaspersson and Einar Hammarsten, succeeded in demonstrating that these nucleotides were linked into very long DNA chains. But at the time it seemed unreasonable that such a simple, repeated molecule as DNA was capable of coding all the information needed to create something as complex as a human being. The first experimental evidence that DNA was actually the bearer of genetic information was not published until 1944, when Oswald T. Avery showed that DNA transferred between different strains of pneumococcus can change the traits of the recipient bacterium. The next important step came when biochemist Erwin Chargaff, using paper chromatography, was able to show that the relative numbers of the 4 bases in DNA co-varied. Chargaff's conclusion, along with the X-ray crystallographic images of DNA produced by Rosalind Franklin and Maurice Wilkins, later provided the foundation for the ingenious molecular model building that enabled James D. Watson and Francis Crick to suggest the structure of DNA, which was published in Nature in 1953.
Förs det genetiska materialet vidare till ständigt nya generationer.
The DNA molecule consists of 2 complementary strands that can separate and then can be used as the template for synthesis of new DNA. The discovery that genetic information is stored in the DNA